Hello, everyone. How's it going? Some background music for you all. And this volume, of course. Good to be back. Hey, hi, hello. Good. Yep, we're back. Long time no see, I know, right? No worries. Okay, that was too loud. Let me see if there's something better. Yep, this one's good. Hello. Yep. Oh, feels good to be back. Hopefully, you all had a good lunch slash brunch slash dinner. I mean, whatever. But it was a good break. And now we are back. So, yeah, someone asked my question. How's it going for how's GHW going for everyone here? And now let's talk about what we have done so far, and then we will go from there. Okay, what have we done so far? So far what we have done is we have understood about Python. We have seen Python, some Python types slash data structures like int, float, strings. We worked a lot with string. We had some questions about, oh, what would happen if we do this, what would happen if you do that. There were some amazing questions from you all, and we kind of resolved most of them together. And yeah, that's where we kind of stopped. And before we went on the break, we were discussing about lists. Okay, so like how you can split a string on some separator, and you can have a list. And now we are going to talk in detail about what is a list. We had some discussions, but let's continue from there. Okay, so what is a Python list? Now, a list, as the name suggests, is a collection of things. Okay, so this is a very important word here, collection. Now, a collection can be of anything. It could be a collection of numbers, it could be a collection of letters, collection of words, collection of other collections. Okay, a list of lists. It could be just about anything. And that is important to know. Why? Because when you have a collection, you can do multiple things. Okay, with a collection, you can count how many things do you have in the collection. You can add or expand that collection, you can delete that collection, you can remove things from collection. And actually, the whole of your coding journey in general, whenever you're building any project or anything, you would at some point or the other deal with collection. It is inevitable. As Thanos said, I am inevitable. Similarly, collections or dealing with collections like lists in its any format. Okay, if you're working with JavaScript, it could be arrays. If you're working with Java, it could be array or array list, or any other programming language. It's inevitable to deal with list. Okay, you will definitely have collection. All the data that we see around us is in some form of a collection. Okay, that's important. So it would be a very good idea to practice with that collection, right? Practice how to create that collection, practice how we can do addition, not division, but removal, and all those things with lists. Let's get started, and I will move out of your hair so you can focus solely on code here. We can go to our main.py, same file. I'm going to delete everything that we have here, or you can just comment out. Okay, so for commenting out, you can use the shortcut command and forward slash on Mac, or control forward slash on Windows, and it will comment out everything. But there's also one more thing that you can do. Okay, multi-line comments. How do we do multi-line comments? So if you see, if I put a hash in front of something, it becomes a comment. Okay, but it's a single line comment. If I go next line, it will again be a normal line. It will not be a commented line. So how do we do multi-line comments? Well, it's going to be pretty simple. You have to just use triple inverted commas and also end with triple inverted commas. And this is the whole thing is a comment. Okay. So multi-line comment just right there. But I hope everyone has the uh, triple double quotes. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to delete that and let's move on to the list. So to learn more about list, I am going to uh, start with something like an empty shopping list. Let's create an empty shopping list. So you know how to create a shopping list variable. But when you create a variable, you also have to assign a value to it, right? Now there are multiple ways to assign values to a list. To create an empty list, you can just do a square bracket. And now if I do a print of type of shopping list, if I do this and run this, it's a class list, right? Sorry, I was just reading over different things here. Okay. Hmm. What are the other ways to create a list in Python? Does anyone know? If not, let's create one. I think one other way to create is you can say list and empty brackets. Okay. And if you run it, it is still going to be a list. But I'm getting a warning. It says unnecessary list call. You don't really need to do this. You can just do empty square brackets and that should work. Okay. So that's what we are going to do. Empty square brackets and just work along. Now we have a shopping list, but what's the length of this shopping list? Okay, let's start from there. What's the length of this particular shopping list? So to do that, we can just do print len of shopping list. You all remember len, right? From strings. So let's check the length of this list. It is 0. It's empty. There's nothing inside it. Now, how do I add things to this shopping list? There are multiple ways. Let's start with something very obvious. Instead of creating a empty list, you can create a list with an element inside it. So I'm going to create a list with apple inside it. Let's run this. Now the length of the list is going to be 1 because it has one element inside it. Can I also print what's inside it? I can just do shopping list here, clear this, and yeah, it has one element and that is apple. So that is one way to add something. Okay. So by default, or when you are initializing, the word is initializing a list, instead of doing empty, you can start with a value inside it. The other ways are like they're multiple. Let's start with the other way of adding something to a list. The other way to add to a list is append. Okay. Now, let's say this shopping list is for your fruits shopping list. Okay. So now I want to append another thing, apple. I want to append another thing in this list. Let's say oranges. And I'm going to print the shopping list and then comma I'm going to print double colon, and then this. So that means we'll have shopping list and then double colon with some spaces around it and the a length of it. So this looks easy. So this is add to list. Let me clear this, run this. So now we have apple, oranges to my list, right? So, and the length of the list is 3, which is good. What if I want to add two things at the same time? Like it's just very cumbersome. Shopping list dot append, like to add it one at a time. So now I want to add, let's say, mango and let's say grapes together. It is throwing an error, but let's see the error here. It says list.append takes exactly one argument, two given. So it's saying the list.append, it will actually take only one argument. So instead of doing that, what can we do? How do we add two things? Let's try. What if we actually sent it out as a list? So in the list.append, I'm saying that pass out, pass this mango and grapes as a list, separate list. Let's try that. And actually, it did get added. It's added apple, oranges, mango, and grapes, but that has been added as another list. So actually, if we count, okay, if we count, we have apple. So one, two, three, four, 5 items in the list, but the length is still 4 because it's counting one, two, three, and this is one entity. So 4. So this is a bad idea in general because, well, what do we do? So yes, there is an answer. You can use the extend function or extend method in Python. So if you use the extend method, you can add multiple things. Uh, let's say something like this. So now if you do that, mango, grapes, and kiwi are not a single entity. It's everything is a separate entity, and the length of the list is by default 6. So one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's good. So you can do single addition, one item at a time, or multiple things, right? Multiple items. So that's what we learned right now. How you can add one item at a time to a list, or you can do multiple items. Now there's another solution here, like you can do shopping list plus create something called as an anonymous list. Okay, so there's no variable to hold that particular list. So this answer here, there's no variable to hold this particular list. Okay, and you're adding it. It's one way, but Python already gives us a method to do it. So we can have definitely multiple answers to do the same thing. And that's another good way to do it, definitely. So now moving on. Now I know the how to add it to a list. Now let's do a counting of how many times we have something in a list. Like let's say I want to count how many times I have apple in a list. Okay. So I'm going to print count apples. Is it apples or apple? Apple, let's say. And then what we have to do is just do shopping list dot count and provide it. Okay, let's run it. So count of apple is 2. Okay. Apple is in the list twice. So that's one way to know how many times something is in the list. Okay. Now after counting, What else? Uh, we have already extended. What about indexing? Okay, can we index? So let's do indexing. So print index of uh, what fruit? Let's say I want to know what's the index of mango. Okay. So to do that, to check the index of something, you can do shopping list dot index of mango. So the index of mango is 3. Let's count it. So if you remember from previously, it starts counting from 0. So 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So index of mango is 3, which is correct. What if I give it a fruit which does not exist? Let's say banana. In that case, it returns a value error. So do you remember from the list one? We had seen this value error when it tries to find something which does not exist. Now, the question for you is, can you, can you search if a find exists on list? Now, one thing that I forgot to show you, remember our dir? So let's also quickly do that to see what methods are available in list. Oh, banana is not found. Let me just comment that out. And now let's run this. Append, we saw that. We saw count. We saw extend. Okay. Now, why doesn't it return -1? So even in strings, whenever we use the dot index method, it op- it raises a value error. Okay, but the dot find method was actually the one that returned -1. So that's how the language has been designed, that it will return a value error if you are using, let's say, the dot index on string and on list. The question is, if it's not found, what do we do? Now, the answer was in the sentence that I gave you. We can actually see if it returns a value, okay? If it returns a value or not, and we can do some conditional things there. Let's move on, and later on we can think about how do I find something. We know that if you want to do a count, what count, it actually goes over and checks. What if I ask it to count banana? Okay, banana does not exist in the list and it returns 0, which is obvious. Like banana does not exist in the list, so well, the count is going to be 0. It's not going to be -1, it's going to be 0, right? So that works fine. Index, it returns or sends back a value error. Everything else right? Yep, index of mango. What else do we have? Now we know that if we want to, when we use append, okay, the append method always adds to the end of the list. What does that mean? If I comment everything out that we have here, clear this, run it. So, whoops, should have printed this. Print shopping list right here, and there we go. Run this. So apple, oranges. So append always adds at the end of the existing list. So the existing list had one apple, and then we asked it to append apple, so it appended apple to the next place and oranges after that. If I do the opposite, oranges this time would be in the middle, right? Because it appends after this. If this was empty, So the length of it was empty. It will first append or add to index 0 and then at index 1. So dot append always adds at the end of the list. Okay. Similarly, dot extend is going to extend the list after like the last element in the existing list. So the last element in this existing list, oh, should have printed it again. Uh, the last element in this existing list was Apple, and the dot extend added after that. Okay, after the last element of the existing list, which is understandable, which is fine, which is how it seems like it should happen. But what if you want to add something at a particular index? Then you can do something like insert. Okay, insert at a particular index. So I am also going to, yep, scroll down a bit here and let's talk about the insert function, insert method. So print, now with insert we can define the position and also the element, like what to insert and at what place to insert it. So let's say shopping list dot insert, and if you hover over it, it takes two things. It first takes the index and it second takes the object. Could be anything, it could be a string, let's say. Not anything, it could be a string, let's say, in this case. So I would say at position 1 insert banana. Okay, and clear this and run this. Oh, after I've done the insertion, I've not printed it, so it does not need to be here in line. Can do that and then just print the shopping list. Yeah, insert at 1. So this is 0th position and this is the first position, and the banana is has been inserted at position 1. Can I insert a list of things? Let's try that. If I do a list of banana and let's say jackfruit. So I want to insert at position 1 two things. Can I do that? Let's see. Run this and it inserts it, but it works the same way the append did. It creates a list of a list. Well, that's bad. So just remember that if you want to do it, you will need to add one element at a time. Okay. Now we know how we can insert at a position, at a particular position. What if I tell it to insert at position 10? We know that our list is maximum of 6 length. I told it to insert at position 10. Okay, insert banana at position 10. What's going to happen? Let's try it out. It inserted it somewhere, which is at the end of the list. What is the length of my list? Is it like 10 right now or 11? What is the list length? So the length of the list is, of course, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you tell insert to insert something at a position which is like far away than the whole length of the list, it is going to insert it at the end. Okay, so if the length of the list is 6 and you tell to insert at position 10, it will insert it at position whatever is the last index, kind of. Okay, now there's a question. How to add multiple elements on different indexes? Easy way is to just copy paste this and add it, right? Now there is a suggestion, maybe extend. Extend what? Yeah, extend the insert. Because remember, when you specify a position, you're saying that at this particular position, I need one element. You are not saying that at this particular position to this particular position, I need these many elements, right? So at least with insert, it is not possible. But it would be a good thing to search. Like, or think about, like, why would I specify one particular index and add multiple things on the same index? Extend position one, position two, element two. Let's try that out. Let's say position one is two, and element is grapes, and then comma. Uh, you're going to say three and kiwi. It's already giving me error. Okay. Oh, that's for something else. Okay. Expected one positional argument, and you're giving too much. So it's going to give an error. It takes exactly one argument, you're giving it two. So that's not going to work. But good thinking. Also remember, when you say insert, you want to insert one thing at one position. You are not saying insert from this position to this position or something. Okay, so we now know how to insert at a specific location, specific position. Now let's say, how do I remove an element? Now you can remove element in two ways. So the first way is called as pop. Okay. Now what you have to do is, I can actually do it this way. Let's create a variable called as popped item. Like, what are we deleting? And let's say shopping list dot pop. Now when you do the dot pop, we'll also see what happens. Wait. Uh Let me do a print. So we are going to print popped item is whatever. Let's say it is going to be pop item. And just below that, or maybe we don't have to do another below it. We can just do a backslash n and say uh, shopping list, or let's say just list is going to be shopping list. Okay, let me clear this out. Okay, I did. We had banana at the end of it, so let me also add this double inverted and this in common, so that we know what we have before this, just before we pop something out. So when we run this, so for at the end of this one, also sorry about this. Let me add another backslash n so that it's clear. Okay, so when we had done this, we had these many things or seven elements at in our list, and the last item was banana. When we do dot pop, it removed the last item, that is banana, and this is our list. Okay, the updated list. But you can also define the index of item that you want to pop. So let's say I want to pop at index 2. Now let's run this. So when we run this, It was apple, oranges, apple, mango, this, 7 items. And it popped the item and index 2. So 0, 1, and 2. And now we have apple, oranges, mango, grapes, kiwi, banana. Okay. So you can provide an index as well of what item do you want to pop, at what position. What if you don't know the index of a particular thing, but you know what exists in the list, like the name? Okay. In that case, you can use actually remove. So we can do shopping list dot remove, and let's say I want to remove apple from this, and let me print it out because I'm lazy. And this is remove. Okay. So when we popped apple, we still had one apple, and now we told it to remove apple. What if we have multiple apples? So instead of popping out apple from here, let me pop out something at like position 5. Okay. And we will still have apples. So when we inserted something, so apple, oranges, apple, then it popped out kiwi or removed kiwi from this. So we still had apple, oranges, apple. And when we told it to remove apple, we have now oranges, apple, mango, grapes, banana. Okay. So what do we understand from this? That remove removes the first occurrence of an item. Okay. Remove removes the first occurrence of an item. Is that kind of understood? Hopefully it is. Now, what if I want to keep on removing apple? So can I do method chaining here? Remove dot remove apple. It's saying like the error is, as you could have seen there, that none type object has no attribute removed. So when you do the dot remove, the return of that is none. It does not return anything. In the case of pop, it returns a string, which is why we were able to save it to a variable. But in case of remove, it does not return anything, which is why we are not able to save it. So in pop, can we do a pop dot pop 5 or pop 6, let's say, or 4 in that case? Well, string does not have a pop in it. Okay. So if you remember, the when you do a dir of string, it does not have a dot pop method in it, which is why you cannot chain that. So I hope now you understand what can be changed and what cannot be. If the method exists, when you do the shopping underscore list dot pop, the return is a string, as you can see here. And if a return is a string, does dot pop exist on string? It does not. So you cannot do that. You cannot do a dot pop dot pop. What exists on string? This exists on string. So do you think line would be added? So it did a dot pop 5 and then did a add of line. So dot add is basically like the plus one. Okay. So it just created this, but doesn't mean anything as such. Okay. It does not do anything for us. So there's no use. What did I repeat the last point? Oh, so if you do a dir of string, see what methods exist on that. Those are the methods that can be changed. So split exists, let's say, on this. So split every word. So the return of this particular thing, shopping list.pop, is going to be a string, and string has a split method. So the popped item is going to be, let's say, kiwi, and if I split it, it should give me a list which has k and I and then w then I, like that, right? It's saying empty separator. Well, empty separator works in this, right? I was not sure because in JavaScript I remember empty separator works. Hmm. Oh, you don't give anything? I think that should work. Interesting. Not sure how to make the empty separator. I'll have to Google that. But yeah, I wanted to show you when can you do method chaining and what is possible. It totally depends on what is the return value of the expression before it. If the return value is going to be a string, any methods that exist on string are the ones that can be used here. Okay, nothing else. You cannot do .pop because .pop exists on list, but it does not exist on string, which is what is returned from here. Okay, and similarly for .remove. So that was the whole point. You need to know what is returned. Now, in this case, this returns none, and that is a data type, which means it does not have a value. So if I create a variable sval equals to this, and I try to print that right here and remove all this, it just says none. Does there is no value there? I cannot see, or it cannot tell me that hey, we removed apple. Well, because it also kind of doesn't make sense. You already told it what to remove. In this case, you did not know what was removed, which is why it was telling us the value of what was removed. In this case, you already know what is going to be removed. You don't need to actually store it in a variable. Okay, moving on. Uh, can I? Sorry, excuse me about that. Uh, can I reverse a list? So many ways. Like normally, if you it this was, let's say, a C programming language thing, then you would have to write this whole if statement, or like, sorry, for loop, check the length of a string or length of the whole array, go from behind and whatever. Uh, it's easy in Python. You just do a dot reverse, and now let's print our shopping list. Uh, that was remove, and this is, let's say, reverse. So the last element just before that was banana, which became the first element here. This background music is killing me. Okay, I can change it. No worries. I think this should be good. Very maybe some new music or something. Okay, so to reverse the list, as you can see right here, we can do dot reverse, and that reverse is my whole list. Okay. What else? How do I sort a list? So let's sort it alphabetically. So to sort a list, again, you can do shopping list dot sort. And let's just print it. And there we go. That's our sorted list. Sorted alphabetically. Okay. What if I have, now this is going to be interesting. What if initially in my list I had two items like apple and apple? Okay. So this and this. And now let's run it. So the capital letters come before the small letters. Does anyone know why does that happen? I think someone was discussing it today in the morning. Something to do with ASCII. Yes. Yep. So, hmm, yep. So you can sort a list, but there's still the problem of this capital and small of what's going to be before, what's going to be after. Multiple ways to resolve that issue. Not going to talk about it right now because now I feel I'm going to be a bit behind, but just something to remember, at least for now. After sorting the list, what else can be done? Oh, you can also give it reverse bool equals to false. So initially inside it, you can say reverse equals to true. So this initially it's ascending order. And if I do this, it's going to be a descending order of sorting. So when you don't provide the reverse equals to true, which is a parameter to this method, then it always sorts by default in ascending order. But if you say uh, reverse equals to true, then in that case, it will sort it descending. Now there's a question. Uh, Difference between sort and sorted. To understand that, we need to understand a copy. Okay, so I'll get to it. I'll come back to answer that question. But before that, we will need to understand what is the copy. But before that, let me just finish this one last thing. How do I clear a list? Like, again, uh, if I want to clear this original list, there is, as it's like no guessing, it is dot clear. And now if I do this whole thing, no, this is not sort, this is clear. Okay, empty. What would happen if I, instead of doing this, do something like this? Like assign it back to an empty list. My shopping list is again empty. Length is 0. What's the difference between the two? Another question for you all. What's the difference between like doing dot clear or assigning it to a empty list, or initializing it again to an empty list? Is there a difference? And if there is a difference, what is the difference? So maybe you can keep that in your notepad, add it to your list of questions that you have to find answers to, and find it later. Okay, so now there was this question of sort and sorted. But before that, let's understand uh, what is how do you copy a list. Like if I want to make a copy of a list, like there is a variable called a shopping list, and I want to create a copy. So let's do that. uh, Actually, let's create a completely new thing. So I'm going to understand about copy. Let's say my original list, it's going to be a list of lists. So square brackets, and inside that there's 1 comma 2, and then another of 3 comma 4. Okay, let me print the original list. And let's also print the length of the list. Hmm. So this is my original list, and the length of it is 2. Why? Because it counts these two things, well, like 1 and 2 is one list. So it is from the outside, it is one element, and this is second element. Now I want to create a copy of list. So copy list is going to be original list dot copy. And now let me print the copy list. Now I'm going to change original list with copy list. So I'm going to copy this word, and I'm going to do control D or command D, paste it, clear this, and okay, this is my copy list. So original list and copy list. Okay, we have understood. Now this type of copy is called as a shallow copy. Why is it called a shallow copy? It's because the second copy, the copy list, it creates a new list. Okay, it has created a new list. It looks completely brand new with the same elements. It is copied over the same elements. But actually, the elements inside it are still referring to the original list. Okay, now I can prove that to you. Like if I modify the original list, okay, if I modify the original list to contain, let's say, at position 1, it should just contain 99. Hmm. And let me try and print the original list after this and the copy list after this. Clear, run. Oh, no, this should not have been a list. Sorry, that was my bad. Yep. Also, let me print dash dash dash. Yep. So I only made one change in the original list, but it also changed the value inside the copy list. So what did I do here? Let's understand that quickly. So all I tried to do was in the original list at first position. Okay. So what is the element at position 1? So it's going to be this 3 4, right? This list of 3 and 4, and in that at position 0, which is this particular position, change the value to 99. That's what I asked it to do. That in the original list at particular position, that is position 1, take that value out, and in that list, like inside is also a list, in that take the position 0, that is 3, replace it with 99, which makes me realize I actually did not show you what is the positioning. Okay, for now just follow along, please. I'm so sorry about that. I should have showed you positioning. How do you take element out from a particular position before this? uh, okay, so if I modify that value in the original list, the copy list also changes, as you can see right here. So I modified this original list, but the copy list also changed. Can I do it vice versa? Can I modify the value in, let's say, copy list? I'm telling it at position 0 and the first element. Okay. You can also do 0, 0. That's okay. So take this list or this 1, 2, and take this 2, replace it with 99. I only modified the copy list, as you can see right here, but it also changed the original list. So, as someone pointed out, is it something like a call by reference concept? Yes. It's a reference value or a referred value. It's not an actual value, or it's not a deep copy. Okay. And that is why this whole thing is called as shallow copy. It means it creates a new list with new things inside it, but it keeps a reference to the inside value is a reference to the original values. The inside values of copy list are reference to the original values. So wherever these are stored in memory, copy list actually takes these values from that place or that position from memory. And that is why when you change something in one of the list, the second automatically changes because they are looking at the same thing. Okay, now before I move ahead, I should have shown you positioning. So that's what I'm going to do. So let me just print uh, backslash n double equal to and backslash n. Cool. So now let's do some positioning, like how to get elements from a particular position. So from our shopping list, let's print, like from my shopping list, I want the element at a particular position. So I can give it, I can do the square bracket and say that get the element at position, not 6, let's say 4. Oh, I'm trying to do it after clear. That is so stupid of me. Let me do it after sorting. Yep. So forget everything after this whole thing. So just before that, there's this sorted thing, and I should also do something like print yep, after just after this thing. So the element at position 4 is banana, and that is what is returned. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So from this sorted list, whatever is basically before that, from there we are getting this particular value. If I want to redeem anything at position 0, well, again, that's going to be simple. It will just return me whatever is the element at the 0th index. Simple. What if I want to return something at position 10? I know that the list is of length 6. So if I want something from position 10, it is going to send me an index error that the list index is out of the range that you are talking about. The list is out of that range. So it cannot return anything from like position 10. What about the last element? One way to get the last element is to start counting from behind. So you can do something like -1, right? So if you do something like -1, it returns me this apple. If I do, let's say, -3, what happens? It will return me the element from 3. Now, when you start counting from behind, you don't go 0, -1, -2. You go -1, -2, -3. If you count from ahead, you go 0, 1, 2, 3. So that is one difference to note and remember. When you start counting from forward or from ahead, you start from 0. When you start counting from behind, you actually start directly from -1. So -1, -2, -3 returns me kiwi. Perfect. Now, what if I want uh, element which is like at -10 position? Again, I know that will not exist. Again, it gives me the index error, list out of range. Now, let's create a new temp list, which is a list of lists. So square bracket, and inside that square bracket, I'm going to have 1, 2, comma, let's say 3, comma 4, and 5, comma 6. And now from temp list, I want second element. So the second element in the temp list is, let me also print the temp list for you all to see. Okay, so this is my temp list, and the second element from my temp list is 5, 6. Why? Because this together is my first element, or zeroth index, sorry, not first element, zeroth index. This is my index 1, and this is my index 2, which is why it returns me a list of 5, comma 6. Now, what if I want just this particular 6? So I know that when we do square brackets 2 or index out 2, it gives me 5, 6. Now, in that 5, 6, what is the index of the 6? It is 0, 1, right? So I can just do 1. And that returns me just 6. So I hope you understood what is indexing. How does indexing work? Okay, that is weird. Uh, yep, this is better. Better song. So, and that is how indexing works. Now, inside list of list, you can have multiple. So, like the 4 here, 4, 8, 16, let's say. Let me clear this, and let's say I want the first element of this. What will be returned? So the first element, let's manually look at it. So first element I think should be this, and from that I want the first element, so that should be, this is 0 and this is 1, so 4 should be returned, right? Anyone? No. Okay, I have one no. Okay, let's try it out. The entire list will be returned. That is true. Yep. 4, 8, and 16 together will be returned. Let's see that. 4, 8, 16. Yes. So now if I want something like, if I only want 8, or if I, let's say, only want 4, I'll have to do something like this. And that gets me 4. Okay, so the question basically was, if I do just 1 1, would it return me 4? The answer was no, because now it would return me this whole thing. This is the 4, 8, 16 together are at position 1, and if I want just 4, I'll have to do also from that list take out the position 0. And if you look at this, this is how you can actually create matrices. Okay, this is how you can create a matrix. So let's say we start with an empty matrix, and I say matrix at position 1, or let's say position 0, 0, 0 should be 1. And let's say print matrix. Do you think it will work? List index out of range. What? Why? Why is it not adding this? Yes. Well, because initially the list was empty. So it's only doing a normal counting. If I want it to explicitly try and modify the values, or add the value at position 000, which is like position 0 inside that position of 0. So position 0 of this, okay, now I'm getting confused right there. So let's say if I want a matrix of 3 cross 3, I can just do 0 0 0 0 0 1, something like this. And if I only want to change this particular value, and there, so 0 of 0. Okay, now my question, another question for you all to note. I want to create a matrix. How do I create a matrix? And the answer actually, so I want to start from an empty list, okay, something like this. And I want to end up with something like, let's say, this. How do I go from this matrix of empty list to something like this using Python methods instead of default initializing? That is again kind of a question or a homework question for you all. The answer we actually have kind of found it. Okay, we have tried it out. So, and it does not need to happen in one step. Okay, it can happen in multiple steps. So you don't need to worry about, oh, I have to do it in one step. No, you don't. And there are multiple ways to resolve it. Question is, matrix starts with empty list. Yes, you can use extend. You can for loop. We have not talked about for loop yet. You only need to use the methods that are here. Okay, insert. Yep, that is also an answer. And this is expected output. This is original. And again, you don't have to do it right now. You can do it later. But again, a homework kind of question for you to think about, like, what would I need to do? Append? Yeah, I'll say yes to everything right now. But no, yes, you can use extend, you can use insert, you can use append. Yes, all of those things should work. It's just like how you use it. Let me come back on screen. And now, any other questions before we go on a quick short break of, let's say, 5-ish minutes? And then we'll be back to create uh what should we do? We should actually, like, let me think. Yeah, we should actually learn about functions and create a program which allows us to add things or remove things or whatever in. Yeah, we'll create a shopping list, but it would be more interactive instead of what we have right now. It will be more interactive, but we'll work with list, and we'll also learn about functions, and we'll also use the list methods. Okay, so any questions before we go on a 5-ish minutes break? 5 to 7, depends. Anything, anyone? Okay, I take the silence as golden. 10 minutes, please. I really want to finish that program. So, okay, 7, 8-ish. Let's compromise there. Uh, okay, let's go on a break. We'll be back and then we'll continue. The session was for an hour. No, it's a 2 hour session. Okay, 2 hour session with like 5-ish minutes, 7-ish minutes break in between. And then we'll be back and continue with it. And I'll build that. We'll build that program. We'll learn about what is functions in Python. And tomorrow we'll continue with dictionaries and some more programs. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, everyone. See you in 7, 8-ish minutes. Hello. Let me boost the volume there. Yep, that's good. Hi, welcome back to the last 45-ish minutes of the session. And we will now learn a bit about functions, build a project. But we don't have to learn too much about functions right now because, uh, well, we are going to, what do you say, kind of learn about it in our projects as well, other projects. Okay. So, hi. Hello, 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 hello. Okay. So, let's continue. So, volume reduced and everything. Let's start building a project. Let me just clear out everything. Also, I hope everyone has the link. Uh, I think this is the link. So, if you don't have the project yet, please make sure that you copy it from here. Okay, I have shared it out right now in the chat. Please open it and copy everything from main.py. So when you open it, let me see if it opens it the way I am assuming it opens. Let me open it in incognito quickly. It will load if you go to main.py. Yeah, you can just copy everything or you can create a fork of it. Okay, just create a fork of it, so you'll have the same code that I had. uh yeah, but creating, like, just copy paste, that would be quicker on Replit or in your VS code or anywhere you want. Okay, coming back, I'm going to wait for like 15 seconds, let everyone copy it, and then we are going to move ahead, and we are going to, I'm going to delete all this, which is why I'm waiting for you to copy. So let's see that. Can you please tell me some other projects too, which are pretty attractive in resume? I have done loads on our streams. You can take inspiration from a few of them. So let's say, uh, why did I do that? God knows. Not home. So I had done some web scraping with Python. We had also built together a good first issue tracker, GitHub good first issue tracker. Uh, oh, we had also done some web scraping with MLH Events API and created our own server and everything. So these are some good projects, I would say. We had built an open source invoice generator. We had learned how to create our own components and publish it on NPM. So I would say these are some good projects. This has happened in the past. If you go to the Major League Hacking YouTube channel, you can find previous streams. You'll have ton of projects from so many other streamers, some really good ones. Like uh, I think Way has a Docker project, like how to create your own Docker containers and everything. So even that is really cool to have and learn, and of course can go into resume. So some good projects right there. Let me clear this, and I hope everyone has copied. uh, I am going to delete it. No worries, you're welcome. Okay, let me delete this. Control A and delete. Okay, perfect, deleted. Now functions. Now before we start creating some big functions, let's start small. What is a function? The way, okay, now the way I understand about it is that we have variables which store values. We can think of function as a collection. Again, think, okay, uh, just think. So, or maybe let's say think about boxes. Yeah, functions are also kind of boxes. Variables are, let's say, smaller boxes, functions are bigger boxes. But these block boxes are black box. You don't know what's happening inside it. You only know that it needs input does something, some black magic inside, and returns me an output. And that is what is called as pure functions. Takes an input, does something, returns output. Does not every time need an input. Okay, sometimes you can call a function without an input, and that is also fine. Let's say, like dot clear method, the dot clear, which was used to clear the list, that was called without any input. Okay, we just said that, hey, this is the list dot clear, and it did something, some black magic, and returned us an empty list. So you can say that not every time it needs an input. Sometimes you would provide it an input and it will return an output. Sometimes it does not need an input. So a function is a bigger box, a big black box. So let's create a very first easy function, which would be called as multiply. It takes in two numbers. Okay. So let's say A and B. And just follow the syntax. So to define a function, you have to use the keyword called as def, then space, and then whatever you want to name your function. Okay, could be anything. Then if it takes in parameters or if it takes values, you can give it in this round brackets, then colon. Okay, this is colon, and you hit enter. You'll automatically have some space here. This is called as, anyone? It's called as indentation. I don't know why do I give the answer out too fast. Sorry. But yeah, it is called as indentation. So normally you would have brackets, curly brackets and things in other programming languages. But Python does not believe in all that. Python goes like, we'll have space. Two space is one indentation, or it can also be four spaces. So two space or four space, that's an indentation. Or there's like one tab. uh, so now here I will say that result is going to be A multiplied by B, and I said that it takes an input or cannot take an input, and it returns an output. So the keyword is right there, return the result. Okay, now how do I call this function? Let's say I will say that my output equals to multiply, which is the function name, and pass it two numbers 4 and 5, and I can then print their my output. And there is this format option which basically formats it nicely. Clear it, and let's run this, and it returns me 20. So multiply 4 and 5 returned me 20. What about, let's say, 7 and 897? 6279. What about a bigger number, like let's say something like this? Now, I don't know if it's correct, but I'm hoping that it is correct. Okay. Hey, hi, Wei, how's it going? Yeah, I was just talking about you, about the Docker projects. Uh, Tushar here was asking what can they put in their resume, and I was like, Wei has some good projects. So, yeah, so here we have. We now understand, like, you understand, like, we don't know what's happening inside this. Like, someone can be malicious and go like, it returns A plus B. And now I go like this. Now, multiply, the name of the function is multiply. You don't know what is here. Let's say, like, it's black box, but you know that it's called as multiply, and it's taking in two numbers. You would expect it to return 7 into 8, 56. It returns me 15. So that is why I say the inside of a function is, you can think of it as a black box. You don't know what's happening inside. You only know the name and if it needs parameters, and the final result is returned. Okay. So that's how you can think of a function, but don't be malicious. Also, we have kind of overcomplicated it. uh, you could actually return the result in one line itself. So instead of doing this, you can just go like a multiplied by b, and I think even this could go directly inside the print. Don't need the my output. And let's see. Yep, that works, right? So you understood what a function is, right? So function, black box, can do something inside it and returns me an output which I can display. Perfect. Now let's create a project. You remember list? You now know some basics about how to create a function. Let's begin writing some code. Also, I'll get out your hair so that you can focus solely on the code. Okay, so let's say uh, what is going to be first. Like, let's define our project scope before we go ahead. So we are going to create a shopping list again. uh, this would specifically be, let's say, birthday shopping list. Okay, birthday shopping list, we are going to create that. It should allow me to add item, remove item from my list. It should show the list. It should clear the list. It should sort the list. And my program is going to run continuously. It will keep on running and running and running. So there should be a way to actually quit program. Okay, we'll talk all about this. And also, when we are doing this, we'll also understand about conditionals. Now, yeah, I think this should be good enough. So add item, remove list, not list, sorry, remove item, show list, clear list, sort list, and quit the program. Okay, these are some of our MVP, or minimum things that our list needs to have or show. Okay, let's create functions for all of this. So let's start with the most basic, add item. Now add item will of course take the item that it needs to add, right? And also, let me, I had forgotten about this. We will also start with an empty shopping list. So shopping list empty initially. So now add item, what is it supposed to do? It is going to add to the shopping list. So if you want to add, and it is taking like one single item, right? So if you want to add one single item to a list, would anyone like to take a guess what we need to use? Well, the answer is right here, append. Append the item, right? Now, what is the return type of this? The return type is none. So it will automatically add it, and we don't have to return the value, which is good. Now, what if I want to remove an item? So def remove item. Again, it will take an item to remove, of course. Forgot the colon there. And then you hit enter, comes right here, some spacing there. Now, when you want to remove an item, you first have to check whether it actually exists in the list, right? Now, that is uh, that English sentence is what we need to think about. If we want to remove an item, we first need to check if it exists. So, like, focus on the word if. So, if item, okay, like exists in. So Python has reduced it to actually in. So if item in shopping list, if item in shopping list, which basically means same, saying same as in English, like if item exists in the shopping list, then you have to, how do you remove something from a list? See, these are the methods. You can either do pop, but you would not know its position. So you will use, yes, remove. Perfect. So dot remove item. And if it, let's say, not exist, if does not exist, then, so if it exists, we remove it. Else, what we need to do? We need to print. Excuse me, sorry about that. So we need to print that the item was not found in the list, right? We need to tell the user that, hey, the item that you're trying to remove was not found in the list. Okay, now I'm going to show you something called as f strings. Remember in the morning we were talking about formatting strings and everything. So Python introduced something like f strings, I think in Python 3.7 or 3.8. I'm not too sure. Maybe it could have been 3.6. I'm bad at remembering that. But f string allows you to write a normal string, like let's say item not found in the list. This works. But the good thing about f string is you can actually put a variable name in this. Okay, add a variable name in here somewhere in the sentence without doing that comma and adding a variable name, then doing a comma again and completing the sentence or anything. So here you just have to do curly brackets and the variable name is going to be item. So this particular variable item, that goes right here. So if item in shopping list dot remove that particular item, else print item not found. So in that case, now that we have learned that using f strings, we can actually print some things. We don't have to return it. We just need to print it on the console right here. And we can also add variables there. Let's do that for adding also. So print f strings added whatever is the item to shopping list. And similarly for remove, we can do a print. I love that how everyone's contributing to it. Like it's too hyped up, which is exciting, definitely. So print item removed, or actually removed item from shopping list. Okay, so we have created another function. Now I'm going to come out of this indentation, and I don't know if it is clearly visible. There are these thin lines which says, oh, this is inline, this is outside, whatever. Like, I don't know, is hopefully it should be visible. Okay, def, what is the other function? Well, we needed to add item, that's done, remove item, that's done, show the list. Well, that's going to be pretty easy. Now show list, now this is something that will not take any arguments, because all it needs to do is print out the shopping list, right? So all we need to do is print shopping list. That's all. It's not going to take any arguments and it's just going to print the shopping list on the console. Simple. Now what else? The clear list, right? We needed to create a clear list. Let's create that. So def clear list. Now we know that the dot clear function can be used to clear the list, and it does not need any arguments. So again, this is going to be empty, no inputs required. all it needs to do is shopping list dot clear, and we can then print something for the user: cleared shopping list. And then we can actually show the shopping list that it has been cleared. Remember, we can also wrap it in F strings. So all you have to do is put a F right here and close it right here and wrap this shopping list in this. Now it's taking a variable, but there's no variable coming here. Why is it still not throwing an error or a red squiggly line? Because this shopping list variable has been defined here at the top, right? So it does not need to come directly only from this. It can come from a global variable, which is defined at the top right here, a global variable. We'll talk. I don't know if we will get time to talk, but maybe something for tomorrow I'll keep in mind. Okay. Also, you can do that, but I'm going to do it this way. Why? Because just to show the difference, kind of, that both of them work. Uh-oh, did I do something? Yeah, I actually removed the brackets. Okay, clear list done. Sorting the list. Okay, so def. Even if there's no list initialized, there is no error. Okay, so you're saying that if that does not exist, there's no error. There is. Okay, now let's do the sorting of the list. So sorting of the list, well, we know there are two ways to sort a list. By default, it is ascending, but you can actually tell it if it needs to be sorted in descending order, right? So for now, let's do the default one, but I'll also show you how you can define some default parameters. So shopping list dot sort, and we can just print sorted. Oh, not sorted. List sorted. Yeah, that makes more sense. Sorted. What sorted? Uh, and yeah, I think that should be it. So we have learned how to define functions. We have defined functions that takes some inputs or parameters, some functions that don't take anything, and actually none of our functions we had to return anything yet. So I don't know how good that is, but let's see. Also, uh, we should define another function. Okay, let's call it commands. Okay, now commands function. What is this commands function? So when we interact with this whole shopping list thing on the console as a user, I want to press certain keys. Okay, think of it as certain keyboard inputs where by if I type the word add, it should automatically call this add item function and add something to the shopping list. If I type the keyword remove, it should call remove item function and remove certain item. So we need to show these commands. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to say print. If someone prints add, so okay, this is actually more like list of commands. Okay, so what all commands are available? What all things can you do? Example, like what I'm trying to say here is when I do a shopping list dot, you can see that this append, clear, copy, count, these are all the commands that are available on shopping list. So we are going to build something very similar. We are going to build a list of commands: add, remove. What else was there? The other command that is available is, let's say, show. uh, the other command is clear. The other command that is available is sort. uh, the other command that is available is quit, and the last command that is available is help. Okay, now how do we use this? I will show it to you, don't worry about it. Yep. Now we want to run our project. Now let me try and click on this run button. Huh, nothing happened. Okay, no worries. Can I add an input? No, we can't add an input. So it's still missing a bunch of things. What is it missing? Let's figure it out and fix it. So we need to first run this command and we need to make it run continuously. Put So there is a suggestion: put the commands in a list and then print it in a loop, call the function. Yes, so many things. uh, let's break it down slowly. Now, step one, I need to make sure that this command keeps on running. So to keep something running forever and ever, you can use something like a while loop. While true, let me show you what happens when you do a while loop. Print 1, let's say, and then print dash, and then print backslash n. Okay, while true, do this. Now just brace yourself because this is going to be a very long journey. Might have to restart my system after this, but it just keeps on doing it. Okay, stop, 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 stop. Finally. Okay, so while true, okay, what does this sentence mean? It means that while something is true, keep on doing whatever is inside it. Now, you don't have to always say true. You can say while, let's say, 1, and run. It will keep on running and running and running and running. Stop. Okay. It could be while ABC keeps on running. So, no, stop. Okay. So, while something, and the best, like a kind of, you can say, a standard way is saying, like, if you want to keep on running something in a loop, like keep on running and running and running, unless something inside it tells it that, hey, now we need to stop something, it will, like, while true will ensure that the whole thing keeps on running. So while true is kind of a loop. Okay, while something is true, something is true, could be anything. While 3 is greater than 5, print this. Let me run this. For, oh, is it true? No, it's not. It's false. So it's not running. While 3 is, let's say, less than 5, it keeps on running. So it checks a condition, and based on the output of that condition, yeah, good. Yes, based on the output of that condition, whether this is going to evaluate to true or false, the while loop runs. So in our case, I'm going to keep it simple: while true, and we are not going to print this. While true, what we are going to do is create a user input variable, and that is going to take an input from user. Now, I love Python. Why? Because to take input from user, the keyword is input. And I'm going to give an instruction to the user. Enter a command or type help for list of commands. Okay. Now let's run this. Also, let me format this. Yep, formatted, looks nice and succinct. Let me run this. Enter a command or type help for a list of commands. Help, 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 please help. Nope. So we have added input, but we have not told it what to do when someone types that. But you also see one more thing. Okay, also I should do this. Uh yeah, some spacing there would not do me any harm. So let me run this. Enter a command or type help for a list of commands. Help, please help. Well, okay. Yes, someone rightly pointed out you have no logic for the output. What is the output that it supposed to show? So let's do that. Okay, let's add that logic. So user input, and let's hit enter right here. Now, if okay, now we are going to create some conditions again. If user underscore input double equals to, remember that single equals to means assigning whatever is on to the right hand side to the left variable. Double equals to means to check if it is equal. So if user input is help, then what you have to do is we have to just call this function. So we can do list of commands and this. So let's try this out first. Run, enter a command or type help for list of commands. Help. It showed me the list of all the commands. Add, remove, show, clear, sort, quit, help. Add. Well, it's not recognized because there's no logic again. So now let's build that logic. Let me stop this. If, so I'm going to come out of this. Okay. If user input double equals to add, if that is the command, then we need to take one more thing from the user. Input item equals to input, and let's give the user a prompt. Enter item to add. Once you receive this input item, then we are going to call the function called as add item, right? And give it this input item. Now, one thing you will notice that add item, it takes an item, but I'm providing it input item. It does not matter because it's just a variable name. A variable name could be anything. Once it goes inside, what happens is what matters. Okay, let's clear this and run this. Type help, type help. These are the list of commands. Add, enter item to add. It's a birthday shopping list. I need cake. Added cake to shopping list. Enter or type help for list of commands. Help, remove. Well, that's not recognized. No logic. Let's add logic for now. Everything. One more thing. Instead of doing multiple if, you can also do something called as else if. Okay. So if user input is help, you have to do or call this function. Else, if the user input is add, call this function. Else, if the user input is remove, then something. So in Python, the short form for else if is elif. Okay, so just something to remember. Elif, uh, the user input is going to be remove. In that case, oh, forgot the colon right there. If someone wants to remove something, step one, first ask them, what do you want to remove? Now, I can reuse the variable names right here because this variable name is only valid inside this particular block. Okay. Once it comes out of that block, the value, that variable does not exist. Possible for us to print the list after adding item? List as in list of commands, you mean? Or the shopping list? If you want to print shopping list, all you have to do is just do a, let's say, a backslash n here, and then just do shopping list right here. Similarly, like backslash n and shopping list right here. Okay. Okay. So input item, input, and I'm going to copy paste this, but enter item to remove, not add, of course, remove, and remove item. We're going to call that function and give it the user input. Elif, not else if, elif. Elif, if the user input is what else? What else is the user input? There's add, remove, or show. If it's going to be show, what does that command do? It shows us the shopping list, right? So show list. So that's what we are going to do. Just call that show list, empty brackets. It does not take any inputs and it just prints out something on the console. Elif, user input clear, right? Clear is another input. Clear is going to call this particular function, clear list. Oops. So clear list, again empty, does not take any user input. What else? Elif, whoa, what if someone types help? Oh, that's already done, right? So we did add, remove, show, clear, sort. Oh, sort is remaining. If user input equals to sort, then sort list. And finally, not finally actually, one more thing. If user input is going to be quit, like I am done, quit the program, what are we going to call? Well, we have not added a function which allows us to quit, but there is something very interesting in Python called as break. Okay, when you type this break, it will actually break out of this while loop. Okay, why is this function running again and again? Because it is running in a while loop. When you type break, it will break out of that while loop. And finally, we can also add a else. Print invalid command. Type help for options. Okay, let's clear this and let's run it. Enter a command or type help for list of commands. Help, add, remove, show, clear, sort, quit, help. Okay, I need to add something. Enter item to add, cake. Added cake to shopping list, and this is the shopping list. Enter a command or type help. I want to add again. Enter an item to add, balloons. Okay, added balloons to shopping list. These are two things in the shopping list. Enter a add again. I want to add candles. Three things. Now the command is going to be remove, and I don't want cake anymore. I'm going on diet. So remove the cake. So there will be just balloons and candles. God knows why are there candles if I don't have cake to put it on, but whatever. And now I feel like, no, there should be cake. So now I'm going to add cake again. And as you can see, cake is now added to the end of the list because we are using the dot append. Okay. Now, once we have done the cake shopping, now I want to also sort this list. So sort, list sorted. We have not printed out the list after sorting it. So list sorted should also, like, this is how you debug the user experience. Once you have sorted the list, you should print it out, or we have a command called as show. When you do the show, it will show you the shopping list. As you can see, balloons, then cake, then candles. It was different. Now it is like this. What else do we have? Help. uh we have clear. Let's try it out. Clear. Cleared shopping list, and it's now empty. Now if I do a show, it's an empty list, as you can see right here. I want to do add. uh Cake. Okay, cake added. I want to quit the program. Oh, what if I want to do please help? Invalid command. Type help for options, and I want to quit, and that quits it. How do I know it has quit? Because this was initially running, now it's back to orange, and it's no longer showing me anything here, right? So that's good. And we have successfully created a shopping list program. Okay. Now it's totally on you if you want to use it. I wouldn't right now because if you give this program to someone, step one, they will get, like, they can type help to get a list of commands. They have no idea what each command does, right? So you should also have a description of every command, right? So we can add that description. Adds an item to the list. Removes an item from the list. Prints the list. Clears the list. Sorts the list in ascending order. Quit program. Show available commands. I just don't like that remove is going to be like this. So I'm going to add some space right there so that everything is in line. Yeah, I am nitpicky like that. Uh, why are you concerned? Okay, now let's say help. Yep, this looks much better. We can also print a new line after this. So you can just call print without anything. Yep. So let me stop this, clear this, run this, and help. And yep, there's a new space. Let the commands stand out from the description. Uh, good. Could be like something like this. Like, and just in double inverted comma. Put it in single inverted comma, not double, let's say. something like this. So like just for testing purposes. Yeah, like we know what to type exactly. One more thing, like if I do add with a capital A, that is not going to work. Invalid command, right? So we could do one thing: take the user input and convert it to lowercase. So to do that, you can just do dot lower. Is it going to be a function? Yep, it is going to be a method and it returns a string. Similarly, the item to add, okay, I want, not list, dot lower. So any item that is added to the list is going to be dot lower. Actually, not needed for this. What if someone wants to make a list of numbers? You cannot lowercase a number, right? So dot lower is not needed there. So let me stop this, clear this, run it again. List of commands. Also, let me look at time. Oh, I am way over time. And let me see if someone else has. Okay, there's no session after mine. But yeah, I think right time to stop. But hey, we built our shopping list, add, and enter item to add one. Added one to shopping list. Shopping list added one is not a shopping list, but some whatever, but you get an idea. You can add anything. Also notice this, one has gone inside the list as string. Okay, so that's again something to remember, that if you use this input, anything that gets added is automatically a string. Even if you do a float like 56.9798, ah sorry, add and 56.98, it goes as a string. Now also if you want to remove let's say 89, 89 not found in the list, but now let's say I want to do a remove and remove 56.98, it will be removed because it goes as a string. And this one, you need to convert it to int. Yes, that is true, but then how do we know what is a number and what is a string? When user inputs something, we cannot convert a string to an integer, right? I mean, someone enters cake, that cannot be converted to int. And if someone enters 1, we know that should be converted to integer or float or whatever. How do we differentiate when user enters something? Is it uh, can it be converted to a number or can it not be converted? That is the question. But these are some higher level questions. For our for the time being, for our for the purpose of this project, I think we have done fair amount of work. We have created a program, runs on a loop, and yeah, can do a bunch of things, right? So with that, let me stop this, let me come back on screen, and hopefully, okay. Yep, conditional type checking, and like so many things are possible. Uh, like try to convert it. Maybe it's not. Yes, I am going to end it. Okay, perfect. Hello, folks. Once again, I'm back on screen. If you have any questions, let me know right now. I'll be around answering on the chat. But I'm going to end it right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. See you tomorrow for part 3 of this session. Okay. So, see you, folks. Okay. No worries. Thank you so much.